What's up, YouTube? So, I want to come through and talk about dark skin. Alright. I want to explore the topic, you know, and the question, like, is dark skin evil and or criminal? And I guess I sort of had this topic in mind for a while, but this topic also came up in a post. Um, a particular YouTube user posted some information, well, not information, but just posted some opinions about, like, oh, when you see black criminality, usually it's being done by someone with dark skin, and this person claims to be, a black person, right? um, and I was like, you know that is an interesting topic to explore, you know but before I get into this topic, I do want to give a major disclaimer here. All right. Now, I just want to say, I personally do not hold these beliefs. Okay, so don't come for me. All right. um, I believe it or not, I actually tend to believe the opposite because of my personal experience with dark-skinned people. I felt the warmth, the love, the positive spirit of dark-skinned people. Okay, so don't misunderstand me. I'm only exploring this topic. I'm just exploring the topic. Okay. um, but if you feel that this video may trigger you, offend you in some way, you may feel slighted, even, then I completely understand you skipping and opting out of watching this video. Okay? I don't hold it against you, and I'll just catch you in the next video. All right. But I do think this is a topic worth exploring, just a little bit at least, because it does kind of play into this whole skin tone dynamic of, the whole light skin, dark skin tone dynamic. But this time it's like, oh, light skin is good, dark skin is evil. And we really we don't tend to see that pushed as much. People tend to push the more dark skin is masculine, light skin is feminine dynamic much more. Yeah. Just look at the people who pushing the agenda, right? So they wouldn't push an agenda that would be against them. I'm just saying. I'm not starting shit. I'm just pointing the shit out. Pointing out the bullshit. All right. But when it comes to the definition of like dark and black, those definitions tend to carry some negative connotations with them, And I don't know exactly why that is, but that is what it is, you know. And of course, like, we as like black people, or African American people, call ourselves black people. So would that tell us? I think it would be like, if you're applying all the negative things about blackness to black people, then that would be like a bad thing. Oh, like, why would you call yourself a black person, right? Considering that there's so much negativity associated with the word black, right? But, historically speaking, I think the biggest atrocities to humanity were committed by people with light skin versus people with dark skin, right? Let's to keep it real, yeah. Again, this is not saying that the light skinned black people have committed the most atrocities. I'm saying more so like um, white cave dogs, cave beasts, cave monsters, cave demons did it. And they're like, you know, the lightest of the light, typically. But you won't see that being pushed. You know, you don't see that being pushed though. All right. If anything, it's like, oh, you know, what they did was just divine destiny or something like that. Manifest destiny or something, you know? Right? It's like, oh, it couldn't be criminal and evil. A light person did it, right? Of course, something else to keep in mind was the whole curse of Ham propaganda, propaganda that was pushed too. Where it's like, oh, you know, if you have dark skin and coarse hair, you're cursed, right? And that I think that kind of was pushed during slavery more so. Um, so you know that may low key be at play to a little extent, perhaps. At least I'll say in the community a little bit, but outside of the community, a little more bit. All right. Um, Also, another thing, when like in the media, right, and you are watching like a TV show or a movie or maybe even playing a video game, right? Sometimes when like good people turn evil, you know, go bad, sometimes their skin gets darker, right? Even on like Street Fighter, I think some people call Street Fighter out on this, like particularly Capcom, right? Because Capcom ultimately created and developed Street Fighter, right? So they called them out on it because like two of the characters, like their evil characters, like Ken and Ryu, um, when they become evil, their skin gets darker, right? And you know, some people kind of called that out, and I actually sort of mentioned it too a little bit in some videos that I've done, doing like a race and gender analysis of Street Fighter characters, right? But to be fair, in Street Fighter's defense, they do have characters who are brown skin and dark skin who are good guys. So they do have a sort of a counterbalance to that. To be fair, but yeah, again, things to think about. Also, when you see or hear criminality, right? Like I remember them darkening O.J. Simpson's picture on Time magazine, right? They darkened his skin. I guess that was to make him seem more menacing, perhaps. Yeah. And I think a lot of times when you do see particularly black criminality, you tend to see it being portrayed by a darker skinned black person, especially a darker, like brown skinned, dark skinned male. And you'll see that played out in the media, and you know how the media does, right? Then of course you have the gangster rap, right? And the thug culture, gang bangers, you know, and not to say that there ain't no like light skinned dudes ever in the mix, but I think you just tend to see like the darker skinned men in the mix more, portraying like these negative stereotypes. So, you know, that's not helping the whole dark skin is criminal dynamic either, right? And I know some people are going to just be like, you know, it's white supremacy, you know? And I'm like, yeah, but, you know, black people are playing into it, though. You know, black people are taking these jobs. It's not like these are white people in blackface. These are black people doing it. So I feel like there's going to have to be some accountability on black people's end when it comes to this, too. You know, black people as an entire group, right? Not to say that, you know, other factors shouldn't be considered and, you know, held accountable, like white media, of course. But I think in order for us to really take control of our image, we're going to have to take some responsibility and accountability. We can't just keep playing the blame game, you know? But I'll put this out here for you guys. Do you just think that this is just a natural thing? Because I say, like, if this was like light skin is feminine and dark skin is masculine, many of you would just say, oh, that's just the way it is. That's just how it is naturally, right? Some of you at least, right? So could we say the same thing, like, oh, well, you know, just darker skinned folks tend to be more so the ones engaging in criminality. You know, it's that, you know, darker skin tends, or darkness tends to be considered, you know, bad or evil, right? Um, so, you know, is this something that we should just accept and say, you know, this is just the way of the world, you know, and that's just the way it is? Or is this something that we should challenge, right? And I feel like we probably would be more likely to challenge this than to challenge the light skin is feminine, dark skin is masculine dynamic, right? Yeah. But on the flip side, some of you probably don't even care, you know, because it's like, hey, it don't affect me, or either, you know, they kind of like being seen as like perhaps like the criminal game banger, right? Because it may kind of play into like the bad boy image, perhaps, right? But, you know, these are just some things I wanted to put out there and see what you guys think about. You know, just get your opinion on it. So I'll bring this video to a close. Thanks for watching. Feel free to comment. Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now.